Let's not sugarcoat it. Joe Flacco just broke the fourth wall in the Cleveland Browns quarterback competition, and now the illusion of a fair fight between Dillon Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, and the rest of the QB room is hanging on by a thread. On his recent podcast, Flacco casually, but unmistakably, peeled back the curtain, exposing the inner workings of a camp that's far less merit-based than the team-alike fans. If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed. To believe. And the biggest revelation? Shedeur Sanders isn't just underutilized. He's being systematically sidelined. And no, this isn't some vague interpretation or social media conspiracy. This came straight from a guy who's in the room. A Super Bowl MVP. A vet with nothing left to prove and zero reason to lie. So when Flacco says the reps are lopsided, the competition is biased, and rookie Shedeur Sanders is being boxed out before he even gets a real shot, you listen, because now this is bigger than just who gets to start week one. This is a spotlight on how a franchise might be sabotaging its own future to protect its past mistakes and its fragile ego. Limited reps, limited truth. Let's talk about practice structure, because that's where this whole mess starts. Flacco, in a moment of unscripted honesty, laid out what everyone suspected but couldn't prove. There are only so many reps to go around, and who gets them isn't exactly based on performance. That's right. While the Browns publicly preach open competition, behind closed doors it's more like corporate ladder climbing, with reps handed out based on seniority, not merit. Translation? Dillon Gabriel, the third-round pick with organizational backing, and Flacco himself, the veteran placeholder, are eating up the majority of meaningful reps. Meanwhile, Shedeur, who by multiple accounts has outshined Gabriel in actual drills, is getting crumbs. Crumbs. And the Browns expect fans to believe this is a fair competition? Come on. Haslam's comments, a smoking gun. As if Flacco's commentary wasn't revealing enough, Browns owner Jimmy Haslam apparently couldn't help himself either. In a moment that now reads as foreshadowing with a side of sabotage, Haslam allegedly told a small group of reporters, "I didn't want Sanders." Let that sink in. The owner of the franchise, the guy who signs every check and calls every shot, openly disavowed his own rookie quarterback. Not because Sanders has failed, not because he's underperforming, but because he wasn't Haslam's guy. And just like that, everything falls into place. The lack of reps, the absence from media day content, the silence from the coaching staff, the weird, vague answers about developmental timelines, the refusal to let Sanders take first-team snaps despite outperforming Gabriel in nearly every metric. This isn't about readiness. It's not about the system. It's about ego. Haslam didn't want Shedeur Sanders. So now, consciously or not, the franchise is pretending he doesn't exist. Flacco's honesty equals Sanders' reality. Now, let's go back to Flacco for a second, because what he said wasn't angry or accusatory. It was factual, almost clinical. He described the structure of practice, the priority order of reps, and how younger QBs like Sanders just don't get many looks unless someone had them flop spectacularly. But here's the issue. Dillon Gabriel kind of is flopping. His mechanics are off. His confidence is shaky. His footwork is inconsistent. He's missed open throws, turned the ball over, and still, he's getting starter reps. And Shedeur, despite a better completion percentage, better decision-making, and stronger leadership intangibles, he's running scout team. It doesn't take a football genius to figure out what's going on here. Where's the accountability? The worst part about all of this? There's no ownership of the hypocrisy. The coaching staff continues to walk the tightrope of, we believe in all our guys, while very obviously prioritizing two of them, neither of whom have done anything to separate themselves from Shedeur in camp. Head coach Kevin Stefanski, for all his talk about competition and letting performance speak, is ignoring the one guy who's actually performing. You can't say, we're letting the best player win, and then not give the best performing player a chance to even compete. That's not development. That's manipulation. And players notice. Players know what's up. You think the locker room doesn't see this? You think guys like Myles Garrett or Jerry Jeudy, who've already publicly voiced support for Shedeur, don't know when a teammate's getting the short end of the stick? They're watching. They see the reps. They see the film. They know who's really balling out. And when the coaches keep ignoring it, it doesn't just impact one player. It sends a message to the whole team. It doesn't matter how well you play. What matters is who the front office wants to succeed. You think that's good for culture? You think that builds trust? Because from the outside, it looks like the Browns are on the verge of losing their locker room. Again. Gabriel's quiet struggles are becoming loud. Let's be fair. Dillon Gabriel didn't ask for any of this. He's a competitor. He's trying his best. But the reality is, he's not delivering. And the more the Browns try to prop him up, more reps, more PR, more protection, the more obvious it becomes that this isn't about a QB battle. It's about proving the pick wasn't a mistake. But here's the thing. It was, or at the very least, it wasn't better than Shedeur. And now the organization is too deep into the narrative to pivot. They're digging their heels in, even as Gabriel's struggles become more glaring. The Browns keep saying, trust the process. But at some point you have to ask, what process? Because from the outside, this looks like a franchise trying to fix a mistake by making an even bigger one, ignoring the guy who could actually save them. What this means for Shedeur's future. The fallout here could be brutal. Sanders, despite doing everything right, is being boxed out an opportunity he's more than earned. And while he hasn't publicly voiced frustration, the whispers are growing. He's a competitor. He knows the game. But how long can you watch a less effective player get your snaps before that trust starts to crack? How long before Shedeur's camp start exploring other options? Because at this rate, the Browns aren't just risking a QB controversy. They're risking losing a franchise-caliber player before he ever gets a chance to lead. And if that happens, you look back at this moment, this podcast, these comments, this training camp, and realize exactly when it all started to fall apart. The verdict is in, now what? Joe Flacco didn't mean to drop a bombshell. He was just being honest. A little too honest. But the damage is done. He confirmed what players already felt. What fans already suspected. What Shedeur already knew. The reps aren't equal. The competition isn't real. And the Browns are playing a dangerous game with a quarterback who might be the answer, but is being treated like a footnote. Now it's on the organization. They can ignore the noise, pretend everything is normal, ride with Gabriel and Flacco until it all collapses in week 3. Or they can finally open their eyes, give Shedeur the reps, give him the chance, give him the respect, because talent like this doesn't wait forever. And if Cleveland won't use it, another team will. So here we are. Training camp is in full swing, and instead of clarity at the most important position in sports, the Cleveland Browns have a full-on quarterback controversy that feels less like healthy competition and more like a poorly written political drama. Shedeur Sanders, a 5th-round pick by title only, is out here making real NFL throws, commanding respect, and showing leadership like someone who's already played on Sundays. Yet, according to Joe Flacco, a Super Bowl MVP who's had a front-row seat to countless quarterback situations, he's not even being given the opportunity to compete fairly. Let that sink in. This isn't coming from some anonymous source or a beat writer's speculation. This is from a guy who's in the building. A guy who's taken reps with both Sanders and Gabriel. A guy with no real skin in the game outside of truth-telling and football IQ. A rig deck in real time. Flacco's comments expose the core issue. It's not about who's better. It's about who's been preselected. Dillon Gabriel isn't being developed so much as he's being protected. He's not winning the competition. The coaching staff is keeping him from losing it. Reps in training camp are everything. They're not just about throwing passes. They're about timing, trust, rhythm. Every extra snap of the first-team offense means another opportunity to build chemistry, to be seen as the guy. So when you give a majority of those reps to someone underperforming, while another guy quietly dominates with limited chances, it tells the whole team something very dangerous. This competition was never real. And when the locker room starts to believe that things fall apart fast, the Gabriel dilemma. Let's talk about Gabriel. No, not the caricature being used to prop up a draft pick. The real player. The kid with solid tools, a good attitude, and a decent college resume. But here's the thing. Dillon Gabriel wasn't drafted to be the best player in the room. He was drafted to be good enough. He fits into the team's vision of a developmental guy, a controllable contract, a clean slate. In other words, someone who doesn't rock the boat. Shedeur, on the other hand, is the whole damn tidal wave. He brings swagger, a personal brand, and an NFL-ready mentality that the Browns didn't see coming and clearly weren't prepared to handle. When a rookie outpaces a plan, some organizations adjust. Cleveland? They dig in, because giving Shedeur the reins means admitting the third rounder they chose might not be the guy. And for a team already bruised by years of mismanaged QB decisions, Baker, Deshaun, Manziel, Mayfield 2.0, Kaiser, you name it, that kind of public walkback feels like too much to stomach. So instead of correcting course, they're choosing to crash the ship out of pride. The optics are awful. Let's zoom out for a second. What are the optics of the situation right now? You've got a young, talented black quarterback with NFL lineage and undeniable presence, consistently outperforming expectations. And yet he's being kept at the bottom of the totem pole. Meanwhile, a white quarterback drafted earlier despite less on-field success is being given every possible cushion and second chance. No one wants to say the quiet part out loud. But the optics? They're loud as hell. Even if race isn't the driving factor, and let's give the benefit of the doubt here, the perception is corrosive. It chips away at the credibility of the franchise. It turns fans skeptical. It erodes locker room unity. Because football players, they don't care about draft slots or pedigree. They care about results. And the results point to one thing. Shedeur Sanders is outplaying everyone in that room. Brand versus system. Some defenders of Gabriel have quietly floated an excuse that is outdated as it is transparent. Well, Shedeur doesn't fit our system. Let's unpack that. What exactly is Cleveland's system? A safe, check-down-heavy offense with occasional vertical shots and a heavy reliance on play action? Cool. Now watch Shedeur's college tape. Better yet, watch his camp throws. He's not just fitting that mold, he's exceeding it. Quick release? Check. Accurate to the sidelines? Check. Touch throws over linebackers? Check. Composure under pressure? Double check. Pre-snap reads? Yeah, he's already doing that too. So when people say he's not a system fit, what they really mean is he doesn't fit the plan, and the plan is to ride with Gabriel, even if it means forcing it. And that's how teams waste quarterbacks, because while you're busy forcing puzzle pieces to fit, the one that's already perfect is sitting in the box. Where's the leadership? Joe Flacco's reveal about the internal rep structure wasn't just a leak. It was a challenge. It said, if we're really doing this fairly, then let's do it fairly. And right now, all eyes are on Kevin Stefanski, because head coaches are supposed to be the adult in the room, the merit-based decision-maker, the one who sets the tone. And Stefanski, by all accounts, is choosing to say nothing. He hasn't called out the imbalance. He hasn't backed Shedeur. He hasn't acknowledged the cracks showing up in the depth chart. Instead, we get the same safe lines every presser. We're evaluating all options. Everyone's getting a fair look. Competition brings out the best in players. But if Flacco, again, a literal member of the QB room, is saying otherwise, those words are just background noise. Because leadership isn't what you say when the lights are on. It's what you do when no one's watching. And right now, the Browns are doing everything but leading. What's next for Shedeur? If things don't change, there's a very real chance Shedeur starts to consider his options. He won't do it loudly. He won't make a scene. But in the back rooms, with his reps and his family, the question has already been asked. Is this the place to grow? And if the answer continues to be no, if he keeps lighting up practices and getting ignored, what happens when another team comes calling? You think Atlanta would make a pitch? You think New Orleans wouldn't move pieces to bring him in? Teams are watching. Trust me. They're watching how Cleveland treats a gem. And if they see the Browns burying him because of ego, draft order, or some outdated system map, they'll be ready. Ready to offer reps, a chance, and, most importantly, respect. Let's be brutally honest. The Browns do not have the luxury of mishandling quarterbacks anymore. They've done it over and over. And now, with a legitimate rising star in their hands, they're fumbling the opportunity before the season even starts. Joe Flacco lit the fuse. The fans are holding the match. And unless the coaching staff steps up and changes course, the explosion won't be weeks away. It'll be inevitable. So Cleveland has to decide, do you want to be the team that finally gets it right? Or do you want to be the team that let another star slip away because you couldn't stomach being wrong? It's not about Shedeur anymore. It's about who you are as a franchise. The Browns now sit at a crossroads, not just in terms of the quarterback depth chart, but in how they define themselves as an organization. Are they a team that evaluates performance fairly? Or are they still stuck in the loop of predetermined narratives, trying to save face for draft decisions already proving questionable? Because if Joe Flacco's comments lit the match, then the team's lack of response is the gasoline. Behind closed doors, frustration is building. Players talk. Coaches whisper. And Shedeur Sanders, whether the franchise admits it or not, has become the gravitational center of a QB controversy they never intended to have. The irony? He didn't start it. He just played better football. Culture shock, meritocracy, or myth. Let's talk about the idea of a merit-based team. It's one of the NFL's favorite buzzwords. Coaches love to say it in press conferences. You earn your reps, best man wins. Nothing is guaranteed. But in Cleveland, that ideology is unraveling fast. Every time Shedeur outperforms Gabriel in drills and still sees no bump in reps, that myth takes another hit. Every day he shows up early, stays late, completes every scripted rep, leads his group through high-pressure moments, and still gets left out of rotation. It chips away at the locker room's belief in the system. You can't sell merit to a roster full of grown men when the numbers say one thing and the reps say another. And that disconnect? That's what tears teams apart before the season even starts. Sanders' approach, calm, composed, and calculated. Through it all, Shedeur Sanders hasn't lost his composure. In fact, he's become something of a case study in how to carry yourself under fire. He hasn't thrown shade in the media. He hasn't ranted on social media. He hasn't stormed into offices demanding reps. He's just kept showing up and winning every moment he's been given. It's the kind of quiet resilience that veterans notice. He doesn't pout. He doesn't politic. He plays. And it's that poise under pressure, that ability to stay steady amid the chaos, that's won over people like Myles Garrett and Jerry Jeudy, players who don't hand out respect cheaply. You want to know what leadership looks like? It's a 21-year-old quarterback who's being sidelined and still commands a huddle like it's his. It's the guy who throws dimes against the first-team defense using the second-team offense and walks off without celebration, because to him, that's just a job, the Gabriel reality. Let's shift the focus back to Dillon Gabriel for a moment, not to scapegoat him, but to be fair. He's not the villain in this story. He's doing what he was asked, showing up, studying the playbook, staying in line. But Gabriel's real crime isn't poor performance. It's that the bar for him keeps being moved downward, while the bar for Shedeur keeps getting moved upward. When Gabriel completes 50% of his passes in 11 on 11S, it's a learning moment. When Sanders goes 8-for 9 in red zone work, it's not enough reps to evaluate. This isn't just favoritism. It's institutional gaslighting. And that's unfair to both players. Because what happens if Gabriel does get named the starter under these conditions? The fans won't buy it. The locker room might not support it. And Gabriel himself, he'll know he didn't win it. He was handed it. That's a weight no young quarterback should have to carry into a season. And it's all because the team can't admit that they might have gotten the draft board wrong. Public perception turning. The court of public opinion isn't waiting for the regular season. It's already rendering its verdict. Local fans have started comparing this to the Baker Mayfield situation, where poor decision-making at the top derailed what could have been a stable quarterback situation. The only difference? This time, the team actually has a rising star ready now, and they're still hesitating. On social media, Sanders' name trends daily among Browns fans. Memes, training camp stats, and clips from limited reps are being circulated like campaign material. And while some national analysts are still hedging, the local beat writers, They've started to call it what it is. A lopsided, mismanaged QB competition that's hurting more than just the depth chart. It's harming trust. It's harming culture. And worst of all, it might be harming Sanders' development, simply because he's been too good, too fast. Flacco's words still echo. Back to Joe Flacco. His comments were more than just observations. They were an indictment. When a player like Flacco, who has no reason to exaggerate or stir up controversy, says the rep distribution is based on politics, not performance, it resonates. Not just with fans, but with agents, players, and coaches around the league. And it begs the question, if Flacco is comfortable saying it out loud, how many others have been saying it privately? Flacco essentially confirmed what everyone feared, that the quarterback competition was never meant to be fair. That Shedeur Sanders, despite his precision, poise, and leadership, was never really part of the plan. He was just the fifth-round wild card, the sideshow, the branding experiment. But now that he's proven to be the best football player in the room, the team doesn't know how to handle it. Franchise identity crisis. The Browns are running out of time. This isn't just a quarterback decision. It's an identity crisis. Are they the kind of team that adjusts course when the evidence demands it? Or are they the kind of team that forces the square peg until it breaks? Because right now, they're staring at a generational talent in the making. Someone who could be the first quarterback, since maybe Bernie Kosar, to bring hope back to Cleveland. And instead of leaning in, they're shrinking back. Out of fear, out of pride, out of stubborn loyalty to a draft plan that clearly needs rethinking. And the longer they wait, the worse the outcome gets. They risk alienating fans. They risk dividing the locker room. They risk letting another team come in and scoop up the player they refuse to build around. And for what? To protect a narrative no one believes anymore? The next step. So where do they go from here? Simple. Split reps evenly. Starting tomorrow. No more predetermined first team versus second team divisions. Make everyone earn it. For real this time. Name the best or former the starter by preseason week 2. That's enough time to test, evaluate, and prepare. Dragging this out helps no one. Back the decision with conviction. Whether it's Gabriel or Shedeur, pick someone and build around them. The worst thing the Browns can do is name a starter and keep the leash so tight that every mistake turns into panic. But if it's not Shedeur, if, after all this, they still go with Gabriel or ride out Flacco's last lap, then they need to be ready for the backlash. Because the fans already know. The players already know. The only people left in the dark are the ones making the decisions. And that's where we'll pause for now. But this story, it's far from over.